Okay, we're now going to review lesson 3-4, which is an equation in point slope form. So I taught this lesson before Christmas, but we didn't do the homework that went with it. So I'm going to reteach the lesson and you're now going to have homework. I did make a mistake on here. I put slope intercept. I want you to cross off intercept, and before the word slope, I want you to write the word point. Point slope equation. Now, the point slope equation has a y and an x. Those will always remain y and x. But y1 is going to represent the y in an ordered pair, okay? And the x1 is going to represent the x in the ordered pair. And m represents your slope. Okay, so the first set of problems is just plugging information into the equation, getting yourself familiar with writing it and how it works. So they give us a point and they give us a slope. Thus, the title of the equation, point slope, a point and a slope. 2 is your x in the ordered pair, y, or 5 is your y, and then your m is 3. So we're just going to take these 3 numbers and plug them into the equation. But remember, this first y and this first x here will remain y and x. Okay? So let's go ahead and write this. So we have y minus y1, which is this 5 here, so minus 5. And then we have m, which is our slope, and they tell us that it's 3, times x, this x stays the same, minus x1. Well, our x1 is 2. And that's all you're doing is plugging the information into the formula. And you are going to be doing this, Nope, we're done. We're not simplifying this into any other form right now. We will on the back. Okay, so let's look at example 2. It's the same thing. This is x, this is y. So we're going to take y minus y1, so minus a -2, equals our slope, which is -4, times x minus x1, which is a -3. Now, do we write it like this, minus a negative? Yeah, basically you're just adding them. So y plus 2 equals -4 times x plus 3. Now notice that your 2 and 3 look positive in the equation, but because we were subtracting them, they're actually, when you pull them out of the equation, they're actually negative. And so that's something that we're going to look at down further in this page. Okay, I want you guys to do example 3 on your own. Okay, so when you're done, you can look up here to make sure you wrote it in correctly. Incorrect. Correctly. Did I say incorrectly? Yeah. Oh, correctly. No, sorry, I didn't mean that. Okay, any questions? Okay, so let's look at the next set of 3 problems. Now, in the previous lesson, we had to plot our y-intercept first and then our slope. This time, we have to plot a point and then our slope, because again, this is point slope equation. So all they want you to do is take these 2 pieces of information and draw a line, graph your line. So you're going to start with -2, 4. So I want everybody to graph -2, 4. -2, -4. Okay. And then your slope, which is 3. So we're going to start at the point and we're going to rise 3, run 1. Rise 3, run 1. -2, -4 right here. So plot that point. And then
-2 and drop 4.
Okay. And draw your line. And that is how,
If yours doesn't look like that, then yours is too bad.
Wait. Oh.
okay, I want you guys to try number 5 and 6 on your own. Okay, that's what everybody should be working on right now. Okay, it's not copy paste, it's check to see if I got it right.
It's called doing the work and then.
Okay, so we're gonna move down to 7 through 9. So now this is where we need to get to, where we're able to look at a point slope equation and just graph it without doing much work. And again, you need 2 things out of this equation. You need the point, okay, and you need the slope. The slope is easy. Where is the slope in this equation? AJ? Oh, okay. Anybody know where the slope is in this equation? Nick? No?
I think I know.
Oh, the slope is 2.
That's why.
4.
That's the slope. Good.
4.
4?
Nice.
It's 4.
This is the slope.
Got it right.
In every equation, look, -1 will be the slope here. Where's the slope here? -3. Okay.
7 is the equation.
Now, we need to pull the point out of the equation. Now, remember though, if I have a y plus 2, that was really y minus a -2 when we put it in, and we had to change it to a positive. So what is my y in my ordered pair? -2. What is my x? 3. No, it's 3 because it's x minus 3. So 3 and -2. If it helps you to remember, just remember when you're dealing with point slope and you're trying to pull out the point, it's the opposite of what it looks like in the equation.
It's always like that. It's not like, oh, okay,
No,
cool.
it's always like that. So, yes. So now to graph it, you're going to graph it like you did examples 4 through 6. Plot your point and then graph your slope.
Jim, why are you my friend? Like, you're weird.
You guys.
Quarter of the day.
You and that Jam is my friend.
No, but wait.
All right. Okay, guys, stop talking, please. Start working. All right, check your line and make sure that it's going in the right direction.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, what?
Mine is definitely on the right track.
Hey, it's straight.
Moving on to example 8, I want you to see if you could pull out the point and the slope on your own. Okay.
The slope is -1.
Good, the slope is -1. So then, Vashon, what's the point?
-3. No. It's just 3 and 2.
No, the opposite is
Three
what it
negative
is.
two.
2 negative
2
3.
and 3.
-2, 3.
-2, 3.
-2. Yeah, it's the opposite of whatever.
Remember, it's because when we put it in as x minus a -2, and it turned it into a +2. Okay, so go ahead and graph this one.
Hey, at least I got the slope.
Yes, that is true.
Touch
That's
that.
what the-
Slope board.
Ms. Motherman, may I please ask you a question?
Yes.
I am still on all right, this is probably gonna be hard to do homework. I am still on example 7, and I don't understand how you
It's
got,
on the board.
and
like,
I honestly don't know how you got the line going this way, because when I graphed it, I got it going
Oh.
this way.
Oh, you're right.
Whoa. Why'd I copy it?
Oh, you're right. Thank you.
I redid it because I thought I did it wrong.
Oh no. Oh, see, good for you guys.
See.
You but not it. Listen, sometimes.
Okay, so I did.
I did it wrong.
Wouldn't this still be -4 then?
So I graphed a -4 slope. It's a +4, so I would need to go
Yeah,
up
my line was on that slope.
over 1.
I don't know.
Wait.
And then 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1. There we go. There we go. I'm so sorry, you guys.
It's
So
okay. We all know.
At least
this-
I caught it.
Good job. Chris.
yes, thank you.
Oh,
Say it again, Jim.
Okay, boys. Okay, I want you all to try example 9 on your own. Okay, I want you to check your point and your slope before you go on, just to make sure you got them down correctly.
Let's go.
Okay, there we go. Any questions about the front of lesson 4 notes?
You got
Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the back. And remember, if you're finishing and you're just waiting, you can be working on the homework. Lesson 3-3 is, you could probably get that done in class. Okay, so let's look at 11 and 10. It says to model the data in each table with a linear equation in slope-intercept form. So I know that we're working with point-slope form, but we're going to use that form to get it to slope-intercept, and you're going to see how they can be easily simplified. So, and then we have to say what the slope and the y-intercept represent. So here we go. The first thing that we need to do is find the slope, okay? And then we're going to choose a point from the table and put it into point slope form. All right, so does anyone remember how to find slope from a table?
The change of x. Y.
Okay, so you're both saying that sort of the same thing. Y2, so wait, 30 minus 18. Oh,
Who is it?
Who is it? Like it's just- Who is it? Oh, dude, remember the clothes.
okay, sorry about that. Whoops. Okay. So, and then, so what Andrew was saying, 30 minus 18 over 5 minus 3 is the same as y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, which is also the same as what Sophia was saying, change in y over change in x.
Okay, because I'm like, that's what you're like.
Okay, so let's use, we're going to use change in y, because that's how I taught you to use, to find slope using a table. So in my change in y, what am I doing here? Well, from 18 to 30,
So it'll be 30 minus
we're adding 12. From 30 to 36, though, we're adding 6. And then from 36 to 48, we're adding 12.
So 12 over.
So we could, but here we're adding 2, here we're adding 1, here we're adding 2. So what I need to do with the two different ones is to make sure that they're equivalent. So change in y here is 12. Change in x is 2, which gives me a slope of 6.
But wait, what about
Then-
the, let's-
Yeah, what about?
Okay, but then if I do change in y over change in x, if I use the other one, the change in y here is 6, the change in x is 1, which is also 6. So our slope is 6. It's just they didn't go in equal increments on both sides, but it's still 6. So now what we're going to do is we are going to take the slope and one of these points. We're going to use 318 because 318 is the smaller numbers, okay? And we're going to plug that point and the slope into the slope-intercept equation, okay? So let me just write this here. The point we're going to use is 318, and the slope is 6. So we're going to take those two pieces of information and plug it into the equation. So we have y minus 18 equals 6 times x minus 3. Okay, I need to make sure you guys understand that. Give me 1 second.
Oh, no.
Okay, so I forgot to resume recording, but these are the steps here, and I'll show you how to do it again with example 11. Okay, here we go. Let's move on to number 11. So again, these questions are asking you to put it, write a slope-intercept equation and then describe the equation. So the first thing that you have to find in both tables is the slope. So we found the slope from this table right here. And all it is change in y over change in x. So I want everybody to find change in y over change in x from this table, and I want you to try that on your own. Okay, somebody tell me how y is changing each time. Andrew?
Wait, which one's what? Oh, yeah.
No, it's the distance, right?
No.
Yes.
Yes. It's changing or it's decreasing by 900.
Yes. And then how is x changing? By adding 2 each time. So when we simplify this, we can find that our slope is negative 450. Okay, so we have our slope, negative 450. What was the next thing I told you guys to do after you find the slope? Choose a point. So we're going to choose, I'm going to choose this last one, 8 and 900. I'm going to choose this one right here. Okay. And we're going to take the point of 8 and 900 and your slope of negative 450, and we're going to plug it into the point slope formula. So everyone go ahead and do that right now. And this is what you should have.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I'm only like 1,000 off. Right.
Okay. Then you're going to simplify this point slope equation into slope intercept. And the first thing you'll do to get that done is distribute your negative 450 to both your x and your 8. Okay.
So y equals negative 9.
Okay, and then you're going to add your 900. Okay. So up here, I want you to write your answer. Y equals negative 450x plus 4,500. And we have to describe what this says. So, or what this means. So this is your Y is your distance from the airport. Your distance from the airport. Oh, is it?
No, it's not.
Okay.
What is saying?
So your y-intercept, does anyone know where your what your y-intercept represents? Yeah. Yeah, the interception at the y on a graph. Now in the real world situation though, do you guys know what it's in relation to this airplane? It's distance from the airport. What'd you say? No? Go ahead. Yeah.
0x. Oh.
Okay, so when they begin, they're at 4,500 miles from the airport. Okay, so they start at 4,500 miles from the airport. And then we have to figure out what the negative 450 is. They descend at 450 miles per hour.
Till they
And
hit 10.
descend. Oops, descend. I spelled that wrong.
Did I spell descend wrong?
Nah, it's gonna open. I'll force it.
There you go. So that's how you would describe the table and the equation. All right. Okay, these next two problems, we are going to use the graph to write an equation in point slope form. So again, you need a point and you need a slope. Now, the good thing about these graphs is they give you 2 points. So we're actually going to write 2 equations. We're going to write one for each of the points. But the first thing that we need to do is we need to find the slope. So I want you guys to try to find the slope of this graph using rise over run.
I don't like rise over run. I don't want
I don't like how
negative 2, 1. Rise over run.
Yeah, how many did you rise?
Well, no, I D12.
Did you miss 12?
No. So Miss Weatherman, here, I don't know if this is a good idea to do, but this is what I did. So I went from the first point and I went down 2 and then I crossed 1 to the right, plus 1.
Yeah, you could do that.
Yeah, it'll do the same thing.
Right.
I got 2.
Yep, negative 2, because it's a negative slope. Okay, so our slope is negative 2. Now using this point right here, negative 4, 3, let's go ahead and write the equation over here. So we have y minus 3 equals our slope of negative 2 times x plus 4. Okay. Does anyone have a question on how to do that? All right, I want you guys to write the equation for this point.
Of course you have to say that.
Somebody tell me what you got.
4,000, so I got,
So
y, yeah, I got y minus 3 equals 3 at 3 parentheses x minus 3.
Oh wait, you're on the wrong one. We're doing I'm looking at number 12, the second point. Okay. Go ahead, Christian.
I don't know if this is right, but I got a y minus 3 equals 2x plus 8. And
No. Okay, you're not following my instructions. You don't have to turn this into a slope-intercept equation. I'm just asking you to find the point-slope equation of the next point on that graph. Does anybody, Andrew?
oh,
Y plus 3 equals -2, and then x plus 1.
Yes. There you go. Jaden. Okay, now over here on this graph, I want you to find the slope, and then I want you to use both of the points to write out the equation, okay? And then we will check back in. Okay, I want you guys to, when you're finished, check your answers, make sure it's these two over here.
Wait, you went to the right?
it's on there. It's on there.
Oh, you did it on the right because it's on the right. I did it on the
It's
I
okay.
said there are 2 13s. What do you mean there are 2 13s?
Okay, let's finish up the last section here, we're going to use 2 points to write an equation in point slope form and then turn it into slope intercept. So you're going to see the relationship between point slope and slope intercept here. Again, the first thing that you need is the point and the slope. We already have 2 points here, so we have to find the slope. Now remember, with ordered pairs, it's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And for some of you, I know that you like to create a table. So for this first one, I'm going to create a table. Okay, plug in my ordered pairs, and then write out my formula. And if you don't need to do the table, you don't have to. But my formula is y2 minus y1. So I have 2 minus 0. And then x2 minus x1. So I have negative 3 minus 5. And then I solve for the slope.
So 2 over -8.
Which equals negative 1/4. That's your slope. Not yet.
Nah,
You got the second one.
more.
Now we're going to choose a point and use the slope to write it in point slope form. So I am going to choose this first point, one, because it's positive and it has a 0. Zeros are always easy to work with. And using this point and this slope, I'm going to plug it into the point slope formula. Remember, 5 is going to be your x1 and 0 is going to be your y1. So y minus 0 equals negative 1/4 times x minus 5. Just using this point and the slope to plug it in. So this is my first answer. My second answer, because it says up here, then write the equation in slope intercept. So we now want to simplify it into slope intercept. Remember, the way that you do that is you distribute the negative 1/4 to the x and to the negative 5. So y minus 0, and then negative 1/4 times x is negative 1/4 x, and negative 1/4 times the negative 5 is a positive 5/4.
So we do it for both or?
You mean of the points?
Yes.
Just 1 point. All right, now I'm going to finish this off. I could just get rid of the 0. Normally we would add whatever this was to the side, but since it's 0, we don't really have to do that. So our final slope intercept is y equals negative 1/4 x plus 5/4, and this is the rest of the answer. Okay.
So this one then.
Yes. Okay. So did you have a question?
No.
So for example, well, are there any questions about this example 13? I know I have 2 of them. Okay, so for example 14, the first thing I want everybody to do is find slope. So everybody work on finding the slope of those 2 points. Okay, when you found the slope, go ahead and check up here. And we're going to work with the point 4,2. So once you get that slope, I want you to plug it into the point slope formula. So that's your next step.
I'm not done with that.
Shh, boys, just work, please.
Thank you.
Okay, and here's your point slope formula. So that's the first part of your answer. But we need to turn it into slope intercept. Now, just a warning, you're going to end up with fractions, and that's why I said that you really need to know how to work with fractions on this. So I'm going to start simplifying this by distributing my 5/8. So I have y minus 2 equals 5/8 times x is 5/8 x. And then 5/8 times negative 4.
Where did you get the negative y minus 2y?
From this point up here. We're choosing a point. Okay. So I'm going to multiply 5/8 times a negative 4.
I'm not, all right. All right, stop the recording.
Okay, so continuing with our simplifying to slope-intercept form, we had to distribute the 5/8 to the x, and I got 5/8 x. Then we have to distribute the 5/8 to the negative 4. Now, when I solve for these, I actually cross-simplify. Don't get that confused with that butterfly method and cross-multiplying. That's not what I'm doing. I'm just simplifying these so that 4 divided by 4 is 1, 8 divided by 4 is 2. So then when I distribute my 5/8 to my negative 4, I get negative 5/2. Now, if that is confusing, then you can just multiply straight across. 5 times negative 4 is negative 20. 8 times 1 is 8. And then you would need to simplify the fraction and you get negative 5/2. Okay? Either way is okay. So when I distribute 5/8 to negative 4, I get a negative 5/2. Okay? Now, we still have to isolate this y, so I'm going to add 2 to both sides. And I get rid of it over here, and then I'm left with y equals 5/8 x, and then something. I have to take negative 5/2 plus 2. So again, this is where adding fractions comes in. I have a negative 5/2 plus 2 over 1. I'm going to put my 1 under there right now. And I need common denominators. So I'm going to use 2. So to make this a 2, I multiply it by 2. And then if I multiply the denominator by 2, I multiply my numerator by 2. So we have negative 5/2 plus 4/2. And now I can add this because they have like denominators. Negative 5 plus 4 is negative 1, and my denominator stays the same. So I end up with a minus 1/2. And that is the second part of my answer for example 14. Okay.
Let's go.
All right. One last problem on our notes, example 15. Right, I'm going to go ahead and solve this probably quickly and then we'll be done. But everyone else needs to be quiet. All right, so a shoe store sells 5 pairs of shoes for $225 and 13 pairs for $585. We're going to write an equation in point slope form. So we need a point and we need the slope. Well, in order to find the slope, I need to figure out what my variables are and plug them in here. Now, I am comparing pairs of shoes and costs. So which one is my X and which one's my Y?
Pairs of shoes are your X and the cost is your Y.
Yeah, number of shoes and then your costs. So this says that if I buy 5 pair, I spend $225. And if I buy 13 pair, I spend $585. So with this information, I can now find my slope, okay? By using y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. So we have 585 minus 225 over 13 minus 5. Basically, this is gonna tell us the cost per pair of shoes, okay? So 585 minus 225 is 360. 13 minus 5 is 8.
7.
And 360 divided by 8 is going to give us 45. So we have our slope and we have 2 points over here. I could choose either point. I'm going to choose the first point, 5 and 225, and write my equation. Y minus 225 equals 45 times x minus 5. And that is the answer.
Oh, that's tough. You gotta sit with Miss O today, yeah.
Okay, and that concludes our review of lesson 4.